Hey, what if I told you this entire situation isn't silence, it's strategy? Because what just happened with Kendra Duggar's family is loud, like really loud. Let's get into it. So here's where things stand right now. Kendra is clearly not on good terms with her parents. That much is obvious. In that clip, she's telling Joseph that her parents are being pushed out of the home they were given back in 2021, a home that was later taken back in 2025. And now, they have 1 month to leave, and that deadline is not flexible. That's not a small disagreement, that's a complete breakdown. And from Kendra's perspective, it sounds like she sees her own parents as people who have been taking advantage of her and Joseph for years, like they've just been living off of them. And interestingly, that exact narrative is what started showing up in comments. One comment straight up claimed that her parents are lazy, that her father is just a pastor, that her mother doesn't work, and that they rely on food stamps and Medicaid to raise their kids. That kind of comment? That doesn't come out of nowhere. That's the kind of messaging that circulates within a very specific circle. And the picture being painted is clear. Kendra's family is being framed as dependent, as a burden, as people who take rather than give. But here's where things get deeper.
Within that belief system, using government assistance is heavily frowned upon, not just discouraged, looked down on. And the reasoning they give publicly? That it's worldly. But the reality behind it is a lot more complicated, because once you accept certain types of assistance, you open the door to outside oversight, social workers, medical professionals, people who are legally required to report concerns. And for groups that prioritize privacy and control, that kind of oversight is the last thing they want. Which is why you often see patterns like this. Kids not attending traditional schools, limited interaction with medical systems, a strong push toward keeping everything internal. Figures like Bill Gothard reinforced these ideas for years, encouraging families to avoid mainstream institutions and rely only on approved systems within their circle. And while the public explanation focuses on values and beliefs, there's another layer there about control and limiting outside influence. So when you hear criticism about things like Medicaid or food stamps, it's not just about finances. It's about staying inside the system and avoiding anything that brings in outsiders. Now, let's talk about the Caldwell family specifically, because the story being pushed about them, that they're just mooching, that leaves out a lot. At one point, Paul Caldwell had a functioning church, a growing congregation, a stable position. But things changed. There were disagreements, tensions over leadership, control, and direction, conflicts involving Jim Bob Duggar, disputes about influence within the church, and even issues tied to how certain situations were handled behind the scenes. And it didn't stop there. Other figures connected to the church got involved. Decisions were challenged, relationships broke down, and eventually, everything unraveled. The church situation collapsed. His role disappeared. Financial stability took a hit. Housing that had been arranged under specific terms? Gone. So what you end up with isn't just a struggling family, but a family that went through a complete disruption. And reputations? Those didn't come out untouched either. Now fast forward to today. The Caldwells posted new family photos, and something stood out immediately. Kendra and Joseph were not in them, not in the main family photo, not in the children's photo, which is significant because historically they were always included.
Always. This wasn't normal. And when you add in the timing, after everything that's been said and done, it sends a message without saying a single word, a very clear one. At this moment, there is distance. Real distance. And while some might expect a public statement or response, that's probably not going to happen. Not while there are legal matters involved. The smarter move? Stay quiet. Let the process play out. because anything said publicly could complicate things further. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, dynamics are shifting. Kendra appears to be standing firmly with her husband, and instead of pulling away from the situation, she seems to be leaning further into it, which only widens the gap between her and her family. And when you step back and look at the bigger picture, you start to see how influence, loyalty, and pressure all play a role. Because in environments like this, support often comes with conditions. Help isn't always free. Favors aren't always just favors. There's a system of keeping track, of remembering who owes what, and of maintaining control through that. And once someone is tied into that system, walking away isn't simple. It comes with consequences: financial, emotional, relational. So when you see families go quiet, or step back, or make subtle moves like excluding someone from a photo, it's not always weakness. Sometimes it's protection. Protection of themselves, protection of others, and protection of whatever comes next. And in this case, that silence might be saying more than words ever could. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think this all means? Let me know down in the comments. And if you made it this far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. Thanks for watching.